G'day, welcome back to my string challenge series in Corp. As we continue to try and connect every single airport together in a single line. Okay, so let's speed things up. I was thinking about what country we want to open up next. I think at the end of the last video, I thought maybe the Netherlands to get like just a small country open as I continue to try and just upgrade the whole network. But I think it could be worth going the opposite way. Because of how close I am to the bottom here, because of how big Argentina is, this is currently the most effective part of my network, South America. So in theory, what I actually want is I want people using this part of the network. If I open Argentina, and the majority of passengers want to go south, then it means that everyone will have to pass through the most efficient part of my network, as opposed to if I say open Germany or the Netherlands or something, everyone will be operating as far away from my efficient part of the network as possible. So, with that in mind, here we go. Glad to see we got another Uruguayan city as well. We're feeling a little bit skimp there. Okay, now as we add these new cities, we will just give them full upgrade options. Now, say something like that is not going to get an upgraded plane. You can have an upgraded city. Plane operating in that part will stay low because I imagine that it will change a few times. So, while we let Argentina just sort of find its feet in where it wants cities, let's try and upgrade the network all the way to it. We'll be very close, I think. Argentina isn't the city, country rather, I hold too much affection for. In the one of the old rules of the World Cup used to be for Oceania, because it's not considered there's much competition in the way of the countries within Oceania for World Cup qualifying in soccer. The winner of the Oceania, which would generally always be Australia, would have to play some country, some lowest seed from some other part of the world. So basically the qualifiers had finished for South America or for Europe, and then one person, whoever had just missed out, they had one last chance where they had to play the winner of the Oceania League, and if you won that, then you got into the World Cup. And I do have memories of being younger and feeling like we were that close to making a World Cup, and then we had to play Argentina in that last qualifier, and we got smoked because they deserve to be in the World Cup and we don't, because we are not good soccer players. And if you are not sure about that, if you have any doubt in your mind, you can even just say to yourself, he's calling it soccer, which means he doesn't consider it what football is, and so he's already wrong and uneducated about the sport. So you don't deserve to be playing in the World Cup. And when talking World Cup as well, if you are curious, yes, I am still filthy at Italy diving for us to get eliminated from one of the World Cups. That was in 2006. It still hurts. It still hurts. Never forget. Alright, so we have made it all the way to the end of the line. The only thing down here we don't have is expensive planes, but they do have expensive airports, so they can still shift people, be it very slowly, 50 people at a time. But being the very end of the line, that might not be the biggest problem for them. So if we go and have a look at somewhere like here, which is red, we can see that they've got people heading north. So it's not the sort of push to Argentina I was expecting to see yet, but I mean, that is just a sample size of one city. My goodness, saving. Get you, pick up your game. It's just that you can see how fine the game runs when it's not trying to save. I can only imagine how horrific that was when it was saving on every plane arriving. Even get rid of it for this. Get rid of it. I'm pretty certain that if you were to go into Corp and then say play, and then you said free play, I would end up in this save automatically. Even though it seems like you're actually going to go you're actually saying start a new game, it will revert you back to your previous save, or the last time it saved for you, rather. Which is a bit confusing. Like, it should just have a continue button as an alternate option. But that's the only thing that this is saving for, a feature that I've never used. Or in fact, the only time it's ever come up, I've found it inconvenient because I know I actually did want to start a new game. It quite possibly happened at the very start of this series when I went to start a new game. I had to open it and then I had to hit restart because it already had like a small little start of the previous time I logged in. And so yeah, for me it's just been an inconvenience rather than anything else. Idaho Falls I have been to. Although they're wondering about Yakima, I could say definitively I have been to Idaho Falls. That was when I went to Yellowstone National Park. We then came, sorry, that's be here. So I drove from Rapid Falls, South Dakota. Went to Deadwood, check out the graveyard there, see the graves of Wild Bill Hickok and other characters from the show Deadwood. Seth Bullock and Calamity Jane. And then drove across the top corner of Wyoming to go see Devil's Tower, which you might know from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, which is a really amazing thing to see in real life because it is just out there flat-topped in the middle of nowhere. And then drove up and across to get to Billings, spent the night in Billings, then across and down into Yellowstone National Park, had one magical day in Yellowstone, and then we had the night in Idaho Falls. And the night I spent in Idaho Falls, we watched the football, and it was the opening game of the NFL season where Peyton Manning for the Broncos threw 7 touchdowns. So from that, you could probably work out the exact date that I was in Idaho Falls, because that doesn't come around very often. It was, yeah. Well, you can even just mirror it down to that period. So that would have been 2013? Or is that too long ago? Maybe it was 2013, somewhere around there. But that doesn't get me any closer to telling me where should I connect Idaho Falls here. And possibly what I could do is claim Caldwell and go Salt Lake City to Caldwell to Idaho Falls to Grand Junction. I don't like it. That's what I'm doing. The amount of these airports that are going to be all the way upgraded just because we've because I've accidentally upgraded them more times than I was supposed to, assuming that they weren't yet upgraded. Luth. Let's go on this new policy of everyone around. Spread the love to everyone attached to a new city can also be upgraded. Also, at the end of each week, it does that ultra huge freeze for a moment while it tells me what the next problem's going to be. Also, just use that as your quick save point. Alright, how are we going to get down to these guys? Let's cut that. We'll go up. Cross. Yeah, a lot of building like this is going to cause for a lot of stutter steps as it saves after every single adjustment we make. No. If we get anyone further south than that in Argentina, or anyone in this area here, I'm certainly going to look up to see what their populations are, because I'm going to assume that it's very cold down here. I mean, I'm making that assumption, but it's not that much further south than where I live. And I know that down here it's not like snow cold. It's more just wind cold, I guess, when it does get cold. However, if I recall correctly, when Leonardo DiCaprio made Revenant, one of the big things he was saying was that when they were trying to make the film, they had to travel all the way to the south of Argentina, was it? It gets to still have snow. So quite possibly it is, that is where you'd have to go in order to get, to see snow. I guess at a time of the year where you otherwise might not see it anywhere else. Alright, so let's... Oh, spending 32,000 on some of these, but we don't want to. Now what I need to do is probably just let the... not keep clicking off cities and then go on to the next one. Let's try and do it while we just see them. Save me having to have the map sort of swing to it. Although I think it just swings to a city every time. It's going to get blocked by this little square interface that's coming up. This is what we should really just see, that it's just 2 updates. 1, 2, and... we do just have to audit to make sure that I haven't already upgraded them, and those 2 updates don't take it to, like that one, even higher than it needs to be. Because I have gone through updating random cities now. Yep. Some not even far enough. Now, potentially more passengers will make their destinations as a result of this upgrade, so we should still see some red, I would imagine. As, yeah, more passengers flow through to points that they weren't otherwise getting. Or possibly there's just more passengers sitting at airports waiting to reach their destination, and they're not just getting maxed out by the one plane coming by. It is very satisfying that we've almost done the entirety of Mexico. It's one sitting of doing our next set of upgrades. Apologies, San Angelo, for not getting to you earlier. They're the ones where I'm just burning through money. Now this is going to be a tricky one to remember where I was up to, because as opposed to previous ones, it's not just like a It's a marker. But as I drag past these ones where they're already full, I'm almost making enough money to keep going anyway. Okay, so what we might do is we'll stop at Albuquerque. Actually, in theory, Albuquerque should still appear pretty constantly red. We can see someone down here is red. What's your story? We've got small planes. That'll do it. Anyone else down here have issues? San Jose's a little bit yellow. This guy's certainly not coping with the length of his flights. He's not overflow. He's not. Well, he is. He's getting all the way there. So, bring him in a second flight. Let's try and work out when we've got these guys at absolute opposite ends. Hopefully, it should be as this guy goes back. That's one end. Now, I can see that he's not returning with any red flights, so at the moment he's not the problem. At least this way. He's just picking up sort of a red worth that way. So he's heading north, he's got a problem. But not south. How are we going, Argentina? Yeah, a few more. Even if there was just an option, say, that I could choose to turn off the autosave features entirely, that would be very welcome. Now, at least Argentina is sort of pushing us in the direction... Oh, I was going to say that we want to go, but I suppose that we don't need to loop back up with Argentina. It will be that this terminates in the Falkland Islands, and that's it. That's the end of this path. It's just we've just got to bring in Paraguay, Bolivia, and Chile. Otherwise, it's looking pretty good. Just want to make sure that we've got all our cities upgraded to 16, so we're at least not losing passengers, even if we're only moving them very slowly. So anywhere where they're showing as anything not yellow is probably a good sign it's not upgraded. Crazy that that guy's already showing any hint of colour, and it's just because he has just a slow point of moving passengers. It's your story. Alright, let's give him a second plane. Wow, so you can see how long this load's taken as well to... But it's really, I think, fascinating to see the red now in these, because you can see that is now a show of how the efficiency is actually making this harder for some places. That there are now points where this does struggle. I mean, it's great to see that, say, that the combination of planes here is just solving the problem. And that's the thing, there's currently only so many passengers. So if the demand outweighs the supply, we can solve the issue. Like, these guys aren't necessarily pushing the issue onto someone else. Maybe it's this guy, or maybe it's just the amount of small ones around him that is sort of making that problem. It is great to see that we can just push the problem, like, that if we address it, all the small airports around it aren't necessarily going to be affected by it. It will just push to the next long one. But this one isn't that long, and putting a second plane on him, what issues is that going to potentially cause? I mean, we can definitely see that this guy here isn't struggling with the amount of passengers that he's got. It is just purely this guy here. Although you can see that he's actually, well, he just had an orange flight going back the other way, so he's not pushing that many passengers back this way at the moment either. It is all about moving passengers towards the United States. You can see that's now orange. This guy isn't arriving faster than this guy is every second trip. But you can see that they've now cleaned it up to a bit that sort of every second plane at least is currently green. And now you go, they're fully green. With only like... Oh, now they've hit another surge of guys. As long as they do keep coming red, this guy is obviously carrying that on red. But I mean, you can see even everyone else beyond that is carrying that red amount as well. San Jose is still, like, even because of the amount of, I guess, of short flights before it, San Jose is now also considered a long flight as people arrive there waiting to move further up. But we've got $120,000, so let's go continue on from Albuquerque. Whoa. These are ones that are already upgraded, so we don't need to keep pushing with them. Alright, let's just have these guys just pop out a little bit for him. That's where I got up to, right? It is really nice to see that money flowing a bit better now. I mean, I am spending money, it's still at a pretty hefty rate. But if it can even, especially when I make mistakes like that, if it can still sort of cope with it and give me something before I finish the next one, I am very happy. That I'm not doing a build with 100,000. Hopefully it takes me long enough that it's close to, say, 200,000 that I'm dealing with. I assume rating's upgraded, it's just now suffering because it was without a plane for a moment there. Bend we upgraded. No, Yakima's already upgraded. At all. And I'm sure we're going to have to address some of these Canadian routes. These guys up here are very long routes that we're going to have to surely put at least 2 planes on. I mean, with all these small routes too, we could put 5 planes on them in theory. And again, it would be purely based on the supply versus demand, but surely on some of those, the 5 planes won't all be full. Like, it would be an absolute snowball surge of people coming through. You're sending through 5 planes on max capacity. Rapid City, South Dakota. Out in the middle of nowhere. if you were wanting to go see, what is it, Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse Monument, and you want to fly in to do it as opposed to drive, city would probably be weird to fly into. Now the problem is that making that quick pivot off the line to go address those cities, I don't remember where I was up to. I think I did, I'm certain I did Thunder Bay. Here we are. Alright, Kansas City. Let's remember Kansas City. Alright. Bryan, Texas. Bryan, Texas sounds like the name of a cowboy villain. A bad film. Alright. So when we left off with Kansas City. That is getting... Macon, Georgia. It's definitely getting up there as the largest airport in my network. A few red airports here, we're definitely gonna help out. Alright, so we are up to, we'll just say Cuba. We're up to Cuba. Now, obviously, a few places are going to go red here while we've got Wichita blocked off. You can see there's even these cities here, it's not necessarily that their problems within the network, it's just that they've had to suddenly stop moving anyone anywhere because they can't get beyond Wichita, the very center of the network. Now we have gone from getting new Argentinian cities to just going back to getting more Brazilian ones. Certainly doesn't disappoint as in any of the sort of like all countries mode or anything like this. I'm never going to see this many cities in Brazil. I think I did ask or ponder in one of the other videos what the where the sort of the population spread was of I'm not sure if I asked about Brazil or just other countries in South America, but I guess this is really saying like, all right, well, definitely there must be the large majority of the people live in the south. I mean, the fact that Sao Paulo and Rio de Janeiro are down this way, you probably could have assumed it. I don't know if that's an ideal connection there, but... Oh, world. Alright, plenty more money to spend. Plenty of red planes moving around, so I guess this is sort of good. We've got red planes, we don't have so much red airports. At least we can see them on the map where those red airports are going to be. Asula. Let's just go down here. I wonder if maybe I have to put a hold on making more episodes of this series until they can address the save feature here, because this is definitely only going to get worse and worse. Okay, so let's continue on. Let's go on to Oran and Bane. So it's actually in that part. So it's gotten updated before it's actually hit its line in the order. It's okay. See if we can make it, how far we can make it. I think we should have I mean, there's a lot of cities in the US at the moment, but hopefully we can make it all the way into Canada here before we run out of money. Part of the challenge will be if I accidentally upgrade ones that don't need it. And how fast I can go, I suppose. Oh, there we go. Some money. I say wasting, but long term, I assume a lot of places are gonna Utica. Utica. Is that how you pronounce that? Have I said that before out loud? I feel like I've heard of Utica. I don't know why. There's a lot of American TV shows, so either people can go and visit them for a once-off episode, or shows can be set in them. There's plenty of weird and wonderful city names in US. Oh, Appleton. I think my favorite American city name that was Truth or Consequences. I think it was named after with the show Truth or Consequences as a promotional stunt. Said if any town renames themselves to Truth or Consequences, we'll give them what, free cable for a certain period of time. And so there is a Truth or Consequences New Mexico. Like we might have enough money that we'll get all the way out of the North America. We wait as this figures out what it wants to do next. So it should be making enough money that we can... And with every city that we've upgraded, more passengers should be able to arrive all the way behind this, so... Hopefully... our money intake will be quite hearty from here on out. You're just sitting on 400 still. They're still not getting any more Argentinian cities. Just picked up a few new French ones. Swiss one as well. With Mexico currently closed, this is why the money has slowed down. We'll just leave those two cities closed, unattached for now. A few more Brazilian ones as well. I don't know what the population of Argentina is, but it may not be. I think sitting so close to Brazil, you might assume that it's equally as big. I certainly do, but I'd imagine that a lot of it is, say, uninhabitable. But I don't really know what would be going on in this. This is mountains all the way down the bottom, I believe, and like I said, it'd probably be pretty cold and windy. Is it Quantum of Solace? Is that sitting with that one part? And is that southern Argentina? Am I remembering that correctly? That's a desert, I think. Desert-looking thing. Okay, there we go. So expensive routes at the moment, so maybe we should hold off building any new routes. And you can see that money now just churning in with Mexico being open again. So let's just finish off in this episode getting through the world upgraded to that level 6. Then we will revisit in the next one, see how that affects, or like if we can actually get rid of this. Can we actually have no overflowing airports? Or can we make the moves to fix it so that there aren't any? I don't remember how much of France I've updated. Updated. The thing is that now we've got airports that have larger populations than the planes flying to them. Generally, having a bigger airport now doesn't mean that we are going to solve a problem. It just means that we're we can delay a problem. So any airport that is getting to red is just always going to be, alright, well, if they're gaining more passengers than what they're delivering, then that's going to be a constant issue that we do need to address, and that's where we're going to have to bring in more planes. Most likely. I don't think there's too much that we can do in rerouting a lot of this. So we probably won't be looking at that as our fix option. Is this Marseille or Marseille? I know that the King Louis' palace was Versailles, which would make me think that that's pronounced the same way. But I'm not even sure if that's spelt the same way. Okay, so that is the whole line now updated to the larger airports. It is just that some of these smaller ones don't have the, like say Argentina currently doesn't have bigger planes. But we've now got enough money that we can try just, alright, let's upgrade the whole network, including Argentina. And we'll see if this boat floats. But we will find that out next time. So once again, thanks for watching. And any questions or comments, feel free to chuck them below. Until next time, see you later. Catch ya.